With the introduction of Arena Breakout Infinite's new PvE mode, Hostile Sector, the way you play a raid has completely changed. You're no longer dealing with just other players, you've got enhanced AI, 4 new elite enemies, bosses, boss rally events, extreme weather, and significantly better loot. And if you approach this mode like a normal Arena Breakout raid, you're going to lose a lot of money. So, in this video, I'm going to break down Hostile Sector Solo Infiltration on Northridge from start to finish. We will cover what PvE actually is, the 4 new elite enemies, boss rally, the new weather system, the best kits, weapons and ammunition, keys, masteries, loot routes, and etc. Because PvE isn't about killing everything, it's about making money. First, what actually is PvE? PvE stands for Player versus Environment. Instead of the main threat being another player, you're fighting primarily against the AI enemies across the map. Hostile Sector is Arena Breakout's Infinite's dedicated PvE experience with stronger AI, special enemy types, bosses, unique weather, and increased loot potential. There are 2 main ways you will encounter Hostile Sector. You've got the regular Hostile Sector experience, where other teams can be present on the map, and you've got the Solo Infiltration, which is what we're focusing on today. Solo Infiltration lets you enter specifically for a PvE focused raid without having to deal with the normal PvP environment. And for this guide, we're focusing on Northridge because it has some of the highest loot potential available in this mode. Farm is also available for PvE. It can actually be more efficient if you're looking purely at time. But Northridge is the map we're going to focus on because of how much loot you can potentially extract with from a single raid. There are 4 new elite Scav types you need to know: the Breacher, the Grenadier, the Gasser, and the Sniper. Each one requires a significantly different approach. First, the Breacher. This is the one you should take the most seriously. He's extremely dangerous at close range, not just because he's using buckshot, but because he can drop you in only a few shots. So do not try to save ammunition against him. If you see a Breacher, commit to the fight and put enough rounds in him to finish him quickly. Don't try to half mag him because you're worried about wasting ammo. The safest approach is to keep some distance and avoid giving him an easy close range shot. Once he's dead, you can loot him, but remember that priority is surviving the encounter, not surviving a few rounds. Next, the Grenadier. The Grenadier's biggest threat isn't his gun, it's his grenades. He has effectively unlimited supply, so if you stay in one position, he's eventually going to force you out of it. The trick is to kill him quickly once you identify him, because if you're holding a defensive position, he can grenade you off the angle, and he's worth killing because he can drop full tier 4 armor. Then you've got the Gasser. The Gasser is another elite that can be extremely useful to kill because of the equipment he can drop. The main thing is to treat him as an elite rather than a normal Scav. Don't blindly push him. Take a good angle, let him expose himself, and finish before moving forward. Again, the reward can be a T for armor, so if you're already damaging your own armor during the raid, killing him can actually help you replenish your equipment. Finally, the Sniper. This one's pretty straightforward. Don't leave him alive if you're about to cross an open area. Snipers use tier 4 ammunition, so getting hit by him can be extremely punishing. And if he hits you in the head, within his effective range of his Mosin, you will die. If you know where he is, take him out before he makes a rotation. Don't sprint across an open field while you hope he misses. Find cover, locate him, and eliminate him before continuing. And one final thing, don't treat these elite like normal Scavs. If you hear one, identify which type you're dealing with and change your approach accordingly. The Breacher means you need to respect the close range. The Grenadier means you can't sit in position forever. And the Gasser is a valuable target for equipment. And the Sniper needs to be dealt with before you expose yourself within his line of sight. Once you learn those 4 behaviors, PvE becomes much more predictable. Now, let's talk about one of the biggest new features in Hostile Sector, Boss Rally. Boss Rally is a special event that can occur during a raid. When it happens, the game will notify you as the raid begins. This means you're not just entering a normal raid. Bosses and their guards can occupy important areas around the map, making already dangerous locations significantly more difficult. On Northridge, two areas you specifically need to think about are hotel and cable car. These are already major hotspots. When bosses and their guards are involved, they become much more dangerous, and this is where you need to make a decision. Do you really want to fight them? If you're a solo or a duo, I would say no. You don't need to fight every boss to make money. You can loot around the dangerous areas, take safer fights to continue your route. There are also other areas that can have occasional boss spawns. For example, sewage plant can have Ajax. If you're dealing with a single boss, then that's a different situation. You can hold your angles, take your time, and choose to fight right. The hotel is difficult already without bosses. Adding bosses and their guards can turn it into an absolute bloodshed. If you're running a full squad of good communication, however, the situation changes. A coordinated squad has much more ability to control different angles and deal with the boss and its guards. The loot becomes extremely valuable. But remember, high reward doesn't mean guaranteed profit. You still need to extract. This part is simple. When you enter a raid, the game will give you a warning telling you that the boss rally has spawned. Pay attention to that message. Don't just start your normal route without considering what's changed. Boss rally can completely change which areas you want to visit and which areas you want to avoid. Boss rally also introduces some of the most notable weather changes in Hostile Sector. On Northridge, you can get a massive blizzard, and this isn't there just to make the map look cool. Your visibility is dramatically reduced, and anything around 50 meters is absolutely blind. You can't see far, and the AI's vision is also affected by severe weather, so that means that weather can actually work in your favor from time to time. You're not the only one who has trouble seeing. So don't automatically assume that a blizzard means you should stop moving. It can actually create opportunities to roll through areas that you normally leave you exposed. Which map should you actually play? For pure PvE, the main maps we're concerned with are Farm and Northridge. Farm is smaller, much faster to navigate. Northridge is significantly larger, but the bots are more dispersed. Northridge also gives you much more loot potential, and that's why the entire guide is going to be focused on Northridge. If you're trying to maximize the amount of loot you can get out of a single raid, Northridge is the map I recommend. Just understand the trade-off. More loot means more time, more movement, and more opportunities to die. So you need to play efficiently. Now, before we can get into the kit, there's one thing I strongly recommend. Get a teammate. Yes, you can play solo infiltration completely alone, but it is extremely difficult. The AI can attack you from multiple directions, and when you're alone, there's nobody to cover another angle, nobody to revive you or provide information. And you can make a lot of money playing solo, but you'll also die much more often. If you're determined to play alone, I'd recommend going much heavier on protection, potentially full T5 or T6, depending on your situation. But for the best balance between difficulty and profitability, I'd recommend having one teammate you can actually communicate with. You can find people through the Arena Breakout Discord or through the in-game team finder. And communication is the most important part. You want someone who will actually call out enemies, hold angles, and move with you. Now, let's get into the kit. The entire purpose of this setup is to maximize three things: information, survivability, and storage. First is the GS2 headset. For me, this is a non-negotiable. You need to hear the AI constantly. You're going to be rotating, flanking, changing angles, and trying to determine exactly where enemies are. Those extra seconds of information can literally be the difference between life and death. Don't cheap out on your headset. For your chest rig, we're using the 926 chest rig. It costs around 180,000 Koen, but the reason why we're using it is simple: storage. If you're trying to make as much profit as possible, you want as much usable storage as you can get. The chest rig pays for itself through the additional loot you can carry. For the helmet, that use a KSS2 tactical helmet or a KSS helmet. If you can find one in slightly new condition, you can get it for around 30,000 Koen off the market. Then you need to add a tier 4 visor. Anything under and you will die. This thing is a non-negotiable. Bots can occasionally shoot you in the face and the bosses can land headshots. A tier 4 visor in worn condition will be costing around 10,000 Koen. So You're looking at around 40,000 Koen for the complete helmet setup. That's an absolute steal for the protection you're getting. For armor, any suitable tier 4 armor works, and here's something important. Replace your armor during the raid. Your armor is going to lose lots of durability, but the AI is constantly giving you replacement gear. If your armor is getting damaged and you find a suitable replacement on an enemy, swap it. There's no reason to spend extra money replacing armor when you can use equipment from the raid itself. For your backpack, there are a couple of options. The best market option is the Luke Expanded Backpack because it gives you huge amount of storage. And if you can craft the Raw Mill Backpack, that's another option because you get an additional 5 slots. Remember, the entire point of this build is to maximize the amount of valuable loot you can actually extract with. For heals, you're going to want the double STO, 1 STO medkit and 1 STO battlefield kit. The reason why I say this is because the battlefield kit fully heals your broken bones. You can also bring an additional E3 medkit if you want extra medical capacity. And now for something that nobody talks about. Bring a thermos. You're going to get thirsty. You're constantly healing. You're constantly using stimulants. You're running across a massive map. Bring a thermos and an energy bar so you don't have to worry about dehydration or hunger during the raid. For stimulants, bring 2 strength stims and 2 endurance stims. You're going to be moving constantly, so they're extremely useful. Now we get to one of the biggest ways you can destroy your profit, ammunition. For this specific farming strategy, I would not recommend using an HK or any gun firing the 5.56x45 NATO. The reason is the price of purple ammunition. At the moment, you're looking at around 600 Koen per bullet. If you're going to be shooting a lot of bullets, you can easily go through hundreds of rounds in a single Northridge raid. So if every bullet costs that much, your ammunition bill will completely destroy your profit. Instead, you have several options. You can run the AKM, the U191, the AMB, the VSS, meaning all guns that have cheap tier 3 ammo. I'll put a few gun builds on the screen so you can see exactly what I'm using. Another important part is also to use magnified scopes. That way you can shoot scavs from far away. Always run purple ammo for this farming strategy. Do not run gold ammo. Yes, gold ammo is better, but you don't need it for what we're doing. If you're going to be shooting 300 to 400 rounds a raid, the extra cost of gold ammunition will eat your profits alive. I personally bring around 700 rounds. You probably won't use all 700 every single raid. That's fine. I'd rather have extra ammunition than run out halfway through the hotel. And remember, you can also loot ammunition through the AI. If an enemy has ammunition that works with your weapon, take it. Every round you don't have to buy is money saved. Now let's talk about the biggest investment you're going to make, keys. If you want to maximize your profit on Northridge, you should buy every single key for the map. All of them combined will cost you about 3 to 4 million Koen. That does sound expensive, but here's the important part. If you just get 3 reds, you've already roughly paid back the cost of your keys. Personally, I've gotten around 12 reds in my last 20 raids. Obviously, this is my own experience. Don't go into your first raid expecting 12 reds. But the point is that the key investment can pay itself back surprisingly quickly. The loot in Hostile Sector has also been buffed. It's better than what you expect from lockdown while sitting slightly below forbidden level loot. So if you're serious about making money, the keys are worth investing in. Now, let's talk about the Mastery system. There are 4 Masteries I prioritize for PvE. First is Sleight of Hand, level 3. This significantly increases the speed of which you pack your mags. You're packing magazines constantly, so faster magazine packing means less downtime between fights. It's one of the most important masteries for this playstyle. Next is Marathon. Northridge is a massive map. You don't want to spend half the raid struggling with stamina while you're trying to move between loot locations. Better low body stamina recovery makes the entire route more efficient. Then, Porter. This gives you up to additional 10 kilograms of carrying capacity, and you might think 10 kilograms isn't much until your backpack is completely full. Then those 10 kilograms become extremely valuable, because the more valuable loot you can carry out, the more money you can make. And finally, Pharmacist. This increased the medical duration by 35%. For example, if a stimulant normally lasts 180 seconds, it's going to last 4 minutes and 3 seconds. You're getting an additional minute and 3 seconds of duration. It doesn't sound huge, but over an entire raid it adds up. Those extra minutes help when you're clearing buildings, crossing the map, or using painkillers, and all that time adds up for more opportunities to loot. Now we're finally getting into the actual route. The two major hotspots are hotel and cable car, and your route depends on your spawn. If you spawn towards the lower part of the map, hit the safes near you first, work your way towards cable car, from cable car continue towards hotel. If you spawn towards the top part of the map, reverse the route. Hit the safes nearby first, then go to hotel. After hotel, you want to work your way down to cable car. But there's one timing rule you need to remember. Get to hotel with at least 25 minutes remaining. Hotel takes time, usually around 10 to 15 minutes to properly clear and loot, sometimes closer to 20. So if you arrive with only 15 minutes left, you're probably going to be rushing, and rushing is exactly how you die. Hotel is one of the most important locations on Northridge. It's also one of the most dangerous. The AI can overwhelm you extremely quickly if you aren't careful, so don't just run through hotel like a headless chicken. You need to listen, clear, and check your angles. Then you're going to loot, and if the AI starts pushing from multiple directions, fall back. Do not be afraid to. You're not trying to clear every enemy in the building, you're trying to get the valuable loot and leave. This is one of the biggest mistakes I see people make. Never, ever shoot bots through closed doors. Yes, you can wallbang wooden doors, but against AI, there is no reason to do so. When the door is closed, the AI, yes, can open it. But if you start shooting through it, you can cause multiple enemies to aggro onto your position. Suddenly, you've got 10 scavs sitting outside your door, dumping magazines into the door, and you can be deleted within seconds. So, use the door as an advantage. Keep it closed, let them come to you. Force the AI into your ankle instead of voluntarily starting a firefight through the wall. Now, let's talk about the Smelter. The way I use the Smelter is primarily as an inventory space optimization tool. I collect purple items and smelt them into golds. If I have cheap 2x2 gold items, I'll sometimes smelt those as well to consolidate value and save space. Because your goal isn't simply to collect expensive items, your goal is to collect as much value possible per inventory slot. If you have a backpack full of low value items, you're wasting your storage. The Smelter lets you consolidate that value. So think about your inventory constantly. Ask yourself, is this item worth the amount of space it's taking? Your goal should be to hit the important key rooms and safes around the map. Ideally, you want to hit as many of them as possible, but don't force it. If you don't have enough time, skip a room. If there's a dangerous boss in the way, you can go somewhere else. If you're already carrying massive amounts of loot, leave. You don't need to loot the entire map. All you need to do is extract with profit. This is probably the most important part of the guide. Know when to leave. Personally, when I'm around 2.5 to 3 million Koen in loot, I'm seriously considering extracting, even if there's still loot left on the map, because the longer you stay, the more opportunities you have of dying. If your armor too is damaged, leave. If you're running low on ammunition, leave. If you're running low on medical supplies, leave. If your backpack is already full, leave. You can always reset and start another raid. It's much better to leave with 2.5 million than to die carrying 4 million because you wanted one more room. Now, let's look at the economics. Your entry pass costs roughly around 700,000 Koen. Your ammunition can cost in between 100 to 250,000 Koen. Your healing will cost you about 150,000 Koen. So you're looking at roughly 1 million Koen or slightly more to run the raid, depending on exactly what you use. That's your approximate break-even point. So if you're coming out of 2 million, you've had a good raid. If you're coming out with 3 million, that's even better. And if you already made good money, don't risk it just because there's more loot available. Reset, run another raid. Consistency is what makes you rich. And this is probably the biggest thing I want you to take away from the entire guide. You're not supposed to clear Northridge, you're just trying to make money. Those are completely different objectives. You don't need every kill, you don't need every room, you don't need every boss, and you definitely don't need every piece of loot. You need to consistently extract with more value than you spend getting in. So, if you remember nothing else from this video, buy your keys, bring enough storage, use a good headset, keep your operation costs low, use purple ammunition instead of burning your profits on gold, take advantage of armor, ammunition, and equipment dropped by the AI, prioritize sleight of hand, marathon, portal, and pharmacists. Know the route you're gonna take. Don't unnecessary aggro entire groups of enemies through doors. Use a smelter to maximize your inventory. Understand the elite enemies. Pay attention to boss rallying the weather. And most importantly, know when to leave. Hey guys, I just want to say thanks for watching. I just want you guys to know that this video took me quite a while to edit actually. And I actually had some pretty funny moments. Anyway, I hope this guide was helpful. If there's anything else you would like a tutorial with, maybe farm, then please give me the comment in the description and I'll be sure to help. Anyway, that's the end of the video. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.